Hey guys, welcome in. This is a webinar hosted and presented by Big Mike's NexusFi, but we got word last minute that unfortunately he couldn't make it as the host, but that's okay. He actually recorded a brief message, so I'm going to play that while you guys funnel in here.
Hi guys, I'm Big Mike, the founder of NexusFi, and I want to thank you for being here. If you haven't already, please join our community of nearly 200,000 traders. Today we have the founders of site sponsor SharkIndicators, Jeremy Tang and Zach White, for a solid introduction of the concepts behind building your own auto trader without knowing how to code using BloodHound and BlackBird. If you're watching this on YouTube, please visit nexusfi.com where you'll find the Shark Indicators Ask Me Anything thread, and you can get all of your questions answered there, or you can email Shark directly when they share their contact info. And now with that, I am going to turn control over. Okay, guys, Jeremy, it's all yours.
Hello, hello. Jeremy, I'm one of the co-founders of Shark Indicators. I've also got Zach White here with me as well. He's going to be kind of manning the demo. How are you doing, Zach?
All right, good. Hey guys, hope your week went well so far. Happy Friday, as we all like to say.
Yeah, and today's presentation is going to be all about auto traders and how to make them without code. So presumably a lot of you guys are in here because you want to make an auto trader or you've thought about it. And so you have some reasons for why you want to do that. But I'm going to go into some pretty critical reasons why an auto trader will give you a really good edge in the market. And especially in these kind of uncertain conditions. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on today. I mean, it is I wasn't going to say unprecedented, but actually the thing is in markets things tend to just repeat themselves over and over again. And honestly, traders love volatile markets. I just saw a posting on Reddit somewhere like a day or two ago about an individual who just made 100K in profits in the last 2 or 3 weeks. Then maybe that's a little bit of an outlier, but the point is when markets are moving fast and in either direction, because as a trader, you don't care whether the markets are going up and down or down, doesn't really matter. You make money in either direction. But the thing that a lot of traders love is the volatility because there's a lot of movement, which means, if you're on the right side of things, you can capture a lot of profit. So today, if you haven't noticed, we seem to be in some sort of, I'll call it a retracement or correction. Perhaps some of you may think we're in the beginnings of a crash, but it's not something we haven't seen before. If you recall back in 2020, of course, everybody knows this and remembers this, especially if you're into trading, and even if you weren't at the time, the very famous crash from the COVID pandemic happened in 2020, and we're starting to see something pretty similar today. There was also kind of a retracement that happened in 2022. Suffice to say, things are going to be different going forward. If you've been trading this section here and
Hey Jeremy, are you sharing your screen? I don't think you are.
oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Let's get that part. Let's get that down here. Okay, so I've got a chart up here of okay, now can you see it?
Looks
You're
good.
good. You're good to go now. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
I
All
was
right.
just happy watching you.
Yeah. Amateur mistake. All right. So yeah, like I was saying, like in 2020, if you look at, I've got a chart here of this is the S&P 500 daily. As you can see today, we are starting to see the beginnings of what we saw more or less in 2020, right? And so my point is that things are changing and we're in a transition period from this kind of steady uphill climb to a more like a retracement or crash territory. And so obviously if you've been trading a certain way for the last couple months, you'll have to probably change your strategy a bit. You have to adjust. And that means generally speaking, you'll want to test your strategy out, at least on, historically on paper to see if it works in these kind of environments, right? Because it's going to be a different, whatever instrument you may be trading, whatever time frame you may be trading, things are going to be different than they were a couple months ago. They may be quite similar, in fact, though, to how things behaved in 2020 and 2022. And so one of the ways to do that is to back test, is to take that historical data that happened in 2020, 2022, or something similar, and try out perhaps some new trading rules that you've added onto your trading methodology and back test it. So let's talk about that for a bit, and bear with me for a second. We're going to get into why we want algo traders and how this relates to backtesting in just a second. But imagine you've got a chart, right? And you're backtesting the old-fashioned way. This is how you'd have to do it if you didn't have a software like ours. You would presumably put up a chart and you would mark it up with entry signals. You'd have your indicators on there. Then you'd have to trace through perhaps maybe thousands of trades and figure out, did they profit? How much did they profit? Of course, that's a very time-consuming affair, right, guys? I mean, imagine having to do that, and then you're not going to get it right the first time, right? You make some adjustments to your system, and then it's probably going to suck the first time through when you do the analysis, and then you've got to tweak it. Then you got to go back and redo all that work again. Figure out where your entries were and how they changed. Maybe you're changing up your money management rules. Maybe you're changing up your entry rules. Maybe you're changing up your the profit targets and stop losses, which, by the way, guys, that's a huge deal. And we'll get into that, why we think that's really important. You're going to see firsthand why that is. But you got to go through the cycle many times probably, right? And if imagine each one takes a couple hours, and you're doing this, or a couple hours, we're talking about maybe a day, perhaps even, right? You might be still doing this, and the whole crash period is over by then. So that sort of lends itself to, well, we all got computers, obviously, and how can we use the computer to do the back testing instead? Because this is something computers are really good at, crunching numbers really fast, right? Okay, so just think about it for half a second. If you want to get a computer to back test, what do you actually need, right? You need to tell the computer when you're going in. You need to tell the computer when you're exiting. You're going to need to tell the computer how the trade is going to evolve over time. You need to tell the computer, maybe your money management rules, all those things. In short, you actually need an auto trader to pull that off. You need a full-blown auto trader to backtest. Okay, and a lot of people don't really make that leap. And so the next question is, how are you gonna get an auto trader that trades your system? And really the only alternative out there is to code it from scratch. But that's wrought with its own, and believe me, that's wrought with a lot of its own pitfalls and whatnot, and that's also very time consuming as well, right? So, and that's where we come in, right? So we actually have a software, we call it BloodHound and BlackBird. It runs on top of NinjaTrader. And it's like basically a node-based visual software which allows you to describe to the computer what your trade system is going to do and how it's going to behave, what the entry rules are going to be, how it's going to behave throughout the life of the trade. And it's all graphical based. It's really, really neat. It's just, and it's the feedback is instantaneous, right? So sorry, I'm flipping back and forth here, but basically, if you change your logic a bit, you can see it on the chart instantaneously. And when you've got your auto trader, what's really cool with that is now you can actually use it to not just only back test, but you could also use it to execute your trades live. And so that has tremendous advantages. You can take the emotion out of your trading. That's one huge deal. But what's also really cool is we don't necessarily pigeonhole you into just doing auto trading only, right? So a lot of our customers actually like to do a lot of discretionary trading as well. And so we actually think about it as more like a spectrum. You have auto trading on one side, you have discretionary trading on the other side. A lot of our customers actually sort of fit somewhere in the middle of that spectrum. And I like to tell people it's more like an autopilot. If you think of like a commercial airline jet, they have autopilot features, and that thing can literally take off, fly the whole route, and land without basically on its own. It's pretty amazing that they've been able to do this for many years. And that's kind of like how our software can operate too, right? So you can have it enter the trade for you on your behalf. You can have it manage it using very sophisticated rules. And then you can have it exit automatically, right? Or alternatively, you can take over any time and say, hey, no, I'm taking manual control. I want to actually manually massage this trade throughout the life of the trade. You can do that. And then you can actually switch it back to autopilot if you want. Or you vice versa, you could actually have it, and you could do the entries manually, and then you could have it play out the trade how you'd like. And what I mean by that is like there's so much finesse that goes on this, guys. This is something I think a lot of this is something that a lot of I trading experts do not emphasize enough, I think, and that's how the trade behaves after the trade is on, right? And there's a lot of stuff that can happen. So we're going to get into that in a bit, but let me just say we have two pieces of software, and you combine them together. Okay, so in NinjaTrader you have indicators, you have strategies. An indicator, we have a software called BloodHound, and basically it's a logic engine, and it allows you to create custom signals. And then we have the other side, which is the execution side, right? So that's things like putting the order on, managing the order, doing money management, actually also doing helping with the back test. And when you combine the two together, you actually have a full-blown auto trader, right? And you have a logic engine that drives entry signals to the order execution module, Blackbird, and together you have a fully automated trade system. And we've been selling these two products for many years now, and thousands of customers later. This is something that people use day in, day out to improve their trading. So I think the best thing to do here at this point is actually to show you what they're like. And I'm going to pass the buck to Zach, who's going to show you you're going to see kind of firsthand how we can build one of these auto traders within just a few minutes and a few mouse clicks. It's really, really simple.
All right, Jeremy. Let's see here. Zoom just gave me an option here I wasn't expecting. So let me get switched over. There we go. All right. So, okay. So, as Jeremy said, right, the markets are changing, and traders are always exploring kind of new trading methodologies, right, to help make your trading abilities just better and better, right? Always keep learning trading ideas out there, right? Always keep learning about the market behaviors, and ways that you can profit from those different market behaviors here. But what I'm going to do to help kind of give a good explanation and demonstration of what our software can do is I'm going to take a step back and kind of go back to, pretend like when you were a beginning trader, right? And you weren't sure what to do, right? You didn't know when to get in, when to get out. And these days, the internet is full of trading ideas, right? Especially on YouTube. You can jump on YouTube and there are literally thousands of people telling you their trading idea, and but of course, the big glaring question is it really as profitable, as they claim it is, right? So, this video here that I just kind of picked at random here, right? Whenever I do these sales webinars, I always like to go scour YouTube and, find some kind of video here at random. And this one claims the mother of all indicators, right? Well, really it's just a couple of moving averages. So, but the claim here is dangerously effective, right? So how do you know? How do you really know if it's dangerously effective? Well, we're going to back test it here. So, right. So taking this triple moving average system here, and let me give you a brief explanation here. So this is an example of a sell signal, right? So you have the slower moving average here. So it's a 34 period moving average, the black line. And then you have two faster moving averages, what are a 21 and a 6. And we can see when the 6 period, the really fast one, when it crosses down, in the trend direction of the slower moving average, that's your entry signal, right? So if things were flipped, right? So if these two slow moving averages were above, I'm sorry, if these two faster moving averages were on top, then when the fast moving average, the 6 period, crosses up, that's your entry to go long. There's your entry to go short, right? So pretty darn simple. And this will allow me to kind of demonstrate the software here in the short period of time that we have here. So that's it in a nutshell. Pretty darn simple there. And so while I am building, Jeremy's going to kind of narrate what I'm doing here and kind of fill you in on, some of the other details here of BloodHound. So I have BloodHound here. This is the indicator product here that builds those entry signals and exit signals, or really you can build any kind of signal and you define what that signal is, right? The signal doesn't have to be a discrete entry signal. Some customers use BloodHound to just keep them, to tell them the market bias, like, is the market in an uptrend bias or is the market in a downtrend bias? How you decide, what BloodHound is telling you is really up to you, right? So, all right. So with that, I'm going to start building the signal here and Jeremy will take over.
Thanks, Zach. Yeah, so like Zach said, it's basically an empty canvas here, and you can create kind of any sort of signal or logic you'd like to do. As you can see, there are nodes. And so right now he's putting on a comparison node. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow him to select 2 indicators installed on your system. And these can be any indicator that you've got on NinjaTrader. And that's not just the SMAs and EMAs and the standard indicators that come with NinjaTrader, but maybe you've downloaded something from NexusFi. They'll show up here and you can analyze those as well. So for this particular system, it's so you can see it's all the indicators on his system are there. Even a third party there called LizardTrader. Those are partners of ours. And they've got a set of indicators. You've probably seen them around NexusFi quite a lot. And now he's going to put in the second indicator and then compare the two. But if you look at the back of the chart, you can see that it updated instantly. In the back of the chart, you've got all the zones marked out where the fast moving average is above the slower, thicker line. That's a slower moving average. And you can see how you can use this to sort of experiment and use what we call the eyeball test to just really quickly see if things look good when you make this tweak or this change. It's really instantaneous, and believe me, this is way faster than trying to develop it from scratch. So the next one here has got a crossover condition. He just added that node there. He's gonna compare, in this case, I believe it's an EMA 6 against an SMA 21 according to the system. Right? And so this is the process again of putting together the trade system from scratch using a very intuitive node interface, a very intuitive drag and drop node based interface, which is really easy to pick up. And again, it's very nice that you can just plug these in and instantly see the signals, right? So there's the crossover points right there. Those are the moments where the EMA 6 is crossing above or below. And so now we're going to combine those two together with some logic. And this is kind of like filtering them out, right? So we're going to take those discrete signals and say, only do that when the 21 is on the right side of the 34. And so just with a few button clicks, he's now filtered out a ton of signals. And that's kind of what we want to see in a trading system. We don't want to be trading too often, right? You're going to get a lot of churn if that happens. And so he's got some clean entry signals there with a filter. Very simple. And that's basically what was presented in that YouTube video. Things often tend to be a lot simpler than meets the eye. So let's just see if this actually makes the what was it? Let's just see if this was quote unquote dangerously effective. So
right.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these entry signals here and plug them into BlackBird, the strategy. And that's how we can get backtest results is, right, you have to create yourself a strategy here. So I'm going to add the BloodHound signals first. Let's get those plugged in there, right? And let's see here. So here's the BloodHound file. Yeah, so that was kind of one thing that I kind of skipped over here, right, is that in BloodHound, let me kind of take a step back here, right? All your, just like with Excel or Microsoft Word, right? When you create a system, you save it to a file, kind of like how NinjaTrader, right? You save all your charts to a workspace so you can open it up later here, right? So that's what I did there. And so I just loaded that file into Blackbird there. And so now I'm going to set up my entry and exit orders here. So, I think that video doesn't really explain kind of the entry order. So I'm just going to go in with the market here. And same with the profit target. So, so when I'm kind of, experimenting with an idea, I always like to just start off with a baseline profit target, something like a 1 ATR, right? And the beauty of using an ATR is when, when your days are extreme, right? Like yesterday, no, this is Wednesday, I think, right? When the day is really extreme, your profit targets will expand with that volatility. But then if you're trading on just a really calm day, then your profit targets, right, will shrink up, to match the volatility of whatever the day is there. So that's kind of like what I like to use is just kind of a baseline here, so we get some baseline results there, right? And the stop loss here, so the stop loss is pretty typical. It's using the lowest low of the last couple of bars there, right? And what you're seeing here is a quick list here. So we try to add in as many conveniences into Blackbird as possible here. And so this quick list is like your most common stop loss settings there, right? So you can have a tick based, an ATR based, or using the low or the high of the last few bars there, and even some trailing versions of all of this. So this kind of helps you get started there real quickly. So I'm going to use the previous bar low, and then you can go in here and customize all this, right? So I just use that to get myself started here. And so I'm going to set my stop loss at the lowest low of the last 3 bars, right? So you can see I can come in here and highly customize this. And if I wanted to, I could even add, say, like a 1 tick offset, 1 tick below the lowest low of the last 3 bars there. Right. So everything, is fully tailored so that you can customize it to how you see fit there, right? So we just have some basic exit orders here just to give us a rudimentary result here. So once we get that all set up, our entry and exit orders, the next step here is we're going to reload the chart. So now we can actually get some backtest results there. All right, so now we see it on the chart here. And you'll notice I now have 2 bloodhounds. So I'm going to remove the extra bloodhound. And Blackbird now actually has bloodhound running inside of it here. And we can see, right, there are some trade results. So, all right, here's what we're all waiting for, right? Pull up that strategy performance report.
Wow, this is really dangerously effective.
Uh-oh. Nah. Yeah, it is dangerous. Maybe not effective. So, right. And more importantly, let's take a look at the equity curve. Yeah, we just kind of got this bowl shape here. So it's kind of interesting. It looks like it's trying to pull itself out there. So
more importantly, it's all in the red. I think, and this really brings up a really important point, guys, is this, if you don't test the system, you don't really know how it's going to perform. So imagine you were trading this live, you just sort of followed it blindly. Of course, you would have lost a lot of money. That's the whole point of back testing. But yeah, let's see if we can, how fast can we try to improve this and actually try to make something tradable out of what seems to be kind of a dud system.
So, one thing, if you've ever done a lot of chart analysis, right, the overnight session is typically pretty dead and pretty flat. And so you get a lot of false signals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enable the scheduling there, right? And so this tells BlackBird, okay, you're only allowed to trade during these hours here. So I pulled up the US equities RTH, right? This is your standard trading hours session template there from NinjaTrader. And again, this is all highly customizable. So let's say, if I was back testing on the crude oil futures chart there, right? I probably would want to exclude the Wednesday inventory report, right? Right. The oil market kind of goes crazy during those inventory reports there quite often. So you might want to exclude that. So you can see, right, we could easily kind of customize, the timing there of Wednesday morning and exclude, whatever amount of time you think is necessary there, right? But what I'm going to do here is, you notice, right, the RTH is 9:30, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Well, I'm going to include the half-hour pre-market there. So I'm going to actually include that because a half an hour before the market opens, right, the market is basically already kind of starting to trend, and it's pretty darn liquid as well, right? So all the the big professionals there are basically they're starting to trade before the actual market opens there. So I'm going to include that first half hour pre-market open there in there. Right. So I'm just going to make that one simple change here, which is to get rid of these overnight trades here, right? Because here I put this rectangle here to kind of show me, that right during the overnight, right, you get a lot of these bad signals here because the market's just kind of consolidating on you. So let's eliminate stuff like that, and let's see what happens. So let's do another reload here, and we can get some fresh new backtest results there. All right, there we go. So let's pull up the strategy performance and take a look at the historical. And well, I mean, at least now it made money at the end. But again, let's look at the equity curve here, right? So, we still kind of have that bowl looking, but we can see now here, right, like on the old one, right, it was starting to claw back some money, but now at least it lost less money. And so, so recently, I guess, what is this, like within the last month or so, right, it actually turned a small profit there. And that was just one simple tweak of the system there that I was able to do in literally just a few seconds there. So let's continue on and add some more improvements here. So one other thing that I noticed here, let's see if I can find my little placeholder. Let's see here. Actually, yeah, this is probably, even though this is profitable here, what I noticed in kind of looking over this system here, right, when I was rehearsing this, is a lot of the failed trades are on extremely long bars. And actually, this bar here is not that long. It looks like it's maybe 1 ATR in length there. So let me kind of go back here. Yeah, this bar is a little longer here. There's no signal on it, but the point being, right, is a lot of these failed trades I could visually see were on extremely long bars. So let's eliminate the trade signals on these extremely long bars here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up BloodHound, and I'm going to add that filter in here. So we have a solver named bar length, and we can actually check how long that bar is. And you can eliminate or you can add signals based on the length of that bar. So, and I also kind of, again, in preparation to save some time here, I kind of did a little tweaking there. And I found out that basically 1.8, 1.7 ATRs, it's kind of like the ballpark range there of the maximum length that you want there, right? So I plugged in 1.8 ATRs, and I'm going to, so we only want signals that are at or below 1.8 ATRs there. So let me go and turn this on there.
Yeah, the point being is like, when you're just changing things on the fly, right? This is how you can very quickly um try different criteria out, as opposed to, having to code it up again and recompile it, and for the most part, your instruments are going to be, your system has to be sort of tailored to your instrument, right? So even though 1.8 may seem like kind of like almost like a arbitrary number, but the thing is, like on the 1 minute chart on the ES, it happens to work pretty good. So you got to find out those kind of numbers, you have to try it out.
Right, right. I'm sure there's some, there's some trading methodologies out there, that actually take advantage of those long bars, but, you know, not this system here. And so now that I've got that filter plugged in, let's go. Oh, and one other thing here, let me make one other quick adjustment here is, right, I was just using a baseline 1 ATR profit target here. And, there's a good chance where, this system will make a lot more money if we increase our profit target. So let's try 1.5 ATRs and let's see what that does. All right. So, yeah, there we go. All right. So let's do a reload here, refresh, and get some new backtest results and see what we end up with. All right. Oh, getting ahead of myself. There we go. Now we got the strategy up. We have some, backtest results. Let's go into the strategy performance, take a look at the historical again, and there we go. So now it's at least up 10 grand, but let's take a look at the equity curve. And now we're actually seeing an equity curve that looks a lot more manageable and better in its shape here, because now we actually have right, if you average this out, we have, an averaged line here, starting up bottom right and going up to the top left there, right? Where when we first began, we kind of had this bowl shape, right? So you don't really want bowl shapes. You want, basically an angle to the top left. And so, so while it still had a rocky beginning, right, with just a few changes and tweaks, right, we were able to go from this bowl shape to, an equity curve shape, that basically what you want to see there with your system there. So,
Yeah, I actually just want to make one more point. And guys, remember I was saying that often the how you manage your trade and how the trade evolves in terms of like where your profit targets are set. And that's a question you guys got to ask yourself when you're about to employ a system, is like, where does the profit target go? Where's the stop loss going to go? And really the best way to find those answers is to backtest it and find out, the best position for it. So obviously too tight, you're going to miss out on a lot of profit, and probably in some cases actually getting yourself into loss situations if you're too tight.
yeah. So, with that, now I'm going to kind of wrap up my demonstration here. So that way we can get to your guys' questions with a little bit of eye candy, right? As the younger generation likes to call it here. I'm going to do a stop loss auto trailing demo here. And you can see this chart has a bunch of indicators on it, right? So I have a swing indicator, right? Identifying those swing points there. I also have, right, the 3 moving averages on the chart here from that system I just built. And you can see the signals on there. And I also have a super trend indicator as well. And so I have a customized trailing stop loss here that, let me get this started here and I'll explain what it's going to do here. So this again is demonstrating how we build tools that don't pigeonhole you into any particular trading style, or ideology, right? You get to decide how you want Blackbird to trade for you, right? And so this stop loss demo here is going to help illustrate that, right? So you can see we just got an entry signal, and the stop loss actually started off down here, and it very quickly jumped up to the next low point there, right? And so next, what we're waiting on is once this super trend flips directions, which it just did, right? Now we have the super trend down there, right? So now once that super trend passes our stop loss will then start trailing the super trend, right? And, so Blackbird has a bunch of intuitive, smart trading safety checks built in, right? And so one of the, standard things about a stop loss is you really, you don't widen them. Otherwise, what's the point of having a stop loss if you're going to keep widening it, right? So Blackbird is waiting for the super trend to surpass it. And so right there you go. So now that our stop loss is going to start tightening up, and it's going to follow the super trend here. And while we're doing that, let me speed this up a little bit, right? And the next indicator that our stop loss is going to start following is the SMA here, right? So the white dotted line there. But I have some rules built in here so that the stop loss doesn't follow the SMA until we get this pullback. So you can see right now the market is pulling back here, and it's crossing this SMA. And actually, if we wanted to, let me slow this down a little bit here. Yeah. And again, if you wanted to, you're always in control. So we could pull that back. And hold on, let me pause this. I'm getting a little ahead of the market's getting a little ahead of me. So you can pull this back there. So you're always in control, right? So during this little pullback in the market there, right? If that's the kind of trader you are, not recommended, you're out, right? You can kind of pull your stop losses out of the way. And then, once the market, looks like it's finished with that pullback, you can then go over here and turn the auto trailing back on. And we'll see here in just a sec here. There you go. So now our stop loss, now that the market has crossed the SMA, our stop loss jumped up to the SMA there. So since that S34 period SMA is the tighter indicator to the market there, it's now going to follow that. So now basically our super trend and our SMA are in competition with each other. And Blackbird's going to monitor both indicators, and whichever indicator is tightest to the market, that's where our stop loss is going to follow there, right? And one other note, about, Blackbird's safety checks, that are just built in to the software there, right? You notice this second entry signal, right? So this was our first entry signal there. We can see the green arrow. And we have another one that was right in the middle of the trade, but you'll notice Blackbird did not place more orders, right? It didn't add to your position there, as a safety check there, right? Because, if you're a futures trader, well, even with stocks, right, you can get yourself into a margin call pretty quickly there. So Blackbird, it won't just keep dumping more contracts onto your trade if you do get additional entry signals right in the middle of that trade. So, and yeah, basically, this is just going to write itself out. So you can see the two indicators there are in competition with each other, pulling that stop loss up tighter and tighter and tighter. So, and so while we're watching this, we're going to talk about a little more of what Blackbird has built into it, right? So we mentioned the scheduling there. So for this demo, I actually had it turned off, right? So we have the scheduling there that you can enable to restrict your trading, to whatever time of day you want there. And of course, it definitely has all the money management capabilities here, right? So this is kind of the classic money management rules here that everybody's asking for, which is, let's turn Blackbird off automatically once you have a certain, profit for the day, or turn off, Blackbird if you hit some kind of loss limit for the day, right? And we also have this daily watermark that Jeremy's going to give you a little explanation on.
I just want to add, like, not only does Blackbird kind of help you manage your trades inside of the trade while they're live and the orders, but it also helps you manage the risk, which is more like the account level stuff. And in particular, we have this really cool feature called the daily watermark, which can be thought of as more like, it's almost like a stop loss for your account, right? And the whole point of that is a lot of hedge funds that actually use this kind of technique is that it will, if you're at any time positive, in the green for the day, it will attempt to capture those profits and not get you in a situation when you're giving back all your gains for the day back to the market, right? So think of it as stop loss, right? It'll stop the trading when that's in danger, right? And so the whole point is, if you have it's going to increase your chances of having positive trading days. And when you have more positive trading days than negative trading days, that's going to lead to more consistency, more consistent profits, and hopefully a overall more profitable system. So Blackbird helps you do all these kind of things. It's all built into the software. Just a few button clicks, can help you, can get you that point. And I do want to say, yeah, we put a lot of effort into the order management stuff, because when Zach and I were studying discretionary traders, we saw that they did all sorts of crazy stuff with their profit targets and stop losses. And he did mention earlier that, yeah, it does have a safety check in there so your stop loss doesn't widen. You can take those safety checks off if you'd like, because there absolutely are people, and we saw them firsthand, like discretionary traders that will actually widen their stop losses when they see the volatility spike on them in mid trade. So anything is really possible. And the whole thing that we really wanted to do with Blackbird is enable you to trade, make an auto trade that can behave almost as flexibly as a human discretionary trader.
All right. Well, so that does it for my demonstration there. So Jeremy, I'm gonna roll it back over to you.
Will do. Okay, let me share my screen again. And I'm going to jump over here and resume where I was. Go ahead and share my camera again. Why not, eh?
There you go. All right.
Okay. Are we good?
Pulled up. Yep.
Yeah, this time we'll be talking about a blank slide. All right, so you just saw how we could in a couple minutes here, about 20 some odd 30 minutes, I think it was, us put together a full-blown auto trader and test it out and tweaked it a couple times. You can see how fast it is when you're proficient with our software, coming up with these auto traders and then experimenting with them. And that's really what unlocks a lot of the power behind our software, is the ability to do these tweaks and this iteration, so you can get at and be very flexible, right? Especially in these kind of markets, right, when things are changing literally on a week-to-week basis. Okay, so to that end, though, right, we actually pride ourselves quite a lot on giving you guys support. Any customers of ours, we have access. You guys will have access to tons of online documentation and videos, unlimited email support. And what's really cool here is actually Zach will run a live workshop every week, and he's been doing this now for over a decade. A live workshop every week. It's like a live classroom. You can come to it and you can just ask your questions. Say, hey, I've got this trading system. I don't know how to do it. Can you show me how? And he'll put it together for you live. And the whole point is to teach you how to do it.
Right. Whether you're on the trial or you're already an owner, everybody's welcome to this workshop. It's completely open to everybody.
Yeah,
So
and it's
you're welcome
free
to join.
It's 100% free. So, and we also have a Discord community, and all these things can be found kind of off our website. And we also have a private one-on-one training for those of you that need sort of a little more kind of a white glove approach. And we do have a question in the audience here. So Les is asking, he's got his own custom indicators. So if you code them yourself, or if you download them, he's asking basically, will they work with your software? The answer is yes, absolutely. Any indicators that are on the in NinjaTrader, as long as they plot something or they expose like a data series, if you're familiar with the programming backend side of it, then something that's readable, right? The data series or the plots, which just whatever indicator has, it can be read in by BloodHound and BlackBird actually. So you can incorporate those custom indicators into your system.
We
Yeah.
do have a video on our YouTube channel that explains, how to test various custom indicators there, and also explains, what's needed to make an indicator readable. So if you just email our support there, let's see here. Jeremy, do you have a slide with our support email address?
Just go to support on the
yeah.
website. Under support, go to contact us, and you can reach
Yeah.
us up at the top there.
Yeah.
The vast majority of indicators work perfectly fine as long as they're coded using Ninja's best practices and don't go back in time and fake their outputs. There are legitimate reasons for them to do that, but that's the rare case where it doesn't. But yeah, 95+% work perfectly.
Definitely email us, and
Yeah.
we'll get you more information on that. So.
Yeah. Les did also have a question regarding Renko bars specifically for testing. So you guys demonstrated sort of live testing on the playback connection. Doesn't matter the bar type, that will work just fine. Some people, when they're asking about Renkos, they're asking about back testing. So there's some caveats there with the way NinjaTrader handles that stuff. Most Renko bars don't work, but that's actually why we made a Renko bar that's specifically designed to get around that problem. So watch the video on that page to learn about the problem with backtesting Renko bars and the solution that we came up with for that. And then if you have any further questions on the nuances, reach out. So hopefully that helps, Les.
Yeah, so Terry's got a good detailed explanation on his question. So basically, Terry's wanted to trade pullbacks. He says 80%, like an 80% pullback there. Not quite, trading Fibonacci pullbacks, but something similar, trading Fibonacci pullbacks there. Bloodhound itself is not a Fibonacci indicator, right? So it's not measuring the percentage of the pullbacks, right? That is what custom indicators are for, right? So custom indicators are doing those custom calculations, right? So, for example, Bloodhound wasn't calculating the SMA. Bloodhound was using the SMA indicator to do, to provide the calculations to figure out what is the value of the SMA. So the same thing would be needed to calculate this 80% pullback, right? You would need a custom indicator, that decides, okay, what is my what's my swing low to my swing high, so what the 100% run is, and then that custom indicator could then calculate that 80% value. And once Bloodhound is given what is that 80% price value, you can then use the comparison solver and compare the current market price to that 80% price that where you're looking for that pullback to get to, and that comparison solver can find that for you and then give you those signals there. So as long as you got an indicator that's calculating that percentage of the pullback that you're looking for, that's a piece of cake in Bloodhound.
Chloe asks if this applies to stock, and the answer is yes. Basically, any instrument that you can load up on NinjaTrader will work, right? So it's not specific to any instrument whatsoever. So absolutely, I do all my testing coincidentally on Apple, and just for fun. That's because I'm most familiar with it. But yeah, absolutely. As long as you've got NinjaTrader and you're hooked into a broker that can do stocks. I'm not sure, guys. Do you guys know if the NinjaTrader brokerage supports stock trading or not, or if it's you got to be hooked up with interactive brokers? I'm not really sure. But regardless, it doesn't
Yeah, I'm not
matter.
sure.
Like, yeah, as long as it's supported by NinjaTrader, you can use stocks for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so you definitely want to contact NinjaTrader support and ask them, what brokers can you use to pull in stock data like that? So the simple answer, so I kind of answered a similar question about can you use, custom Renko bars? And so the answer really is Bloodhound and Blackbird don't care what the chart is. um, Bloodhound Blackbird, the only thing they see is the open, high, and low prices of your chart, right? So it doesn't matter if the chart is futures, forex, stocks. It's just price data to the software, and that's all the software sees. So as long as you can open a chart of what you want to trade in NinjaTrader, yeah, you can trade. You can trade all that using Bloodhound and Blackbird.
And that does, that kind of extends on what Jeremy was talking about earlier, where a lot of people, when they start thinking about automation, they're so used to being told how to trade, right? They're used to dealing with vendors that provide black box systems that say, I have an idea and you must trade it this way if you're going to give me your 5 grand, right? And then, okay, I better be okay with the way that system trades. The whole methodology of the way we're approaching this is you're the one deciding how your trades are supposed to play out. You're the one pre-planning these actions. And same goes for what market, what instrument that you're trading. We're very agnostic on that. As long as your NinjaTrader supports trading on that instrument, go for it, right?
We have a great somewhat common question here from Bennett. So he's bought our software in the past, but it sounds like he kind of took a break from trading, so he hasn't used the software in quite some time, and he's looking to get back into it. All right. So he's asking, what does he do now? So the way our software works is when you purchase it, you actually own that version for life, plus a year of updates. So you can always use that older version as you like there. So if you want to update, get the latest and greatest version, we have a very small update fee that gives you another entire year of updates with that.
Yeah, Bennett, please do not pay us full price again. You've already bought Bloodhound and Blackbird. I would, because of how outdated it is, I looked you up. I would recommend paying the one time to get updated. It's $295, and that'll get you updates until March of 2026. So you're actually
Yes.
going to skip that time that you took off. You're just going to get updates till next year, and you're good to go. So please don't buy a whole new copy.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that Keith mentions don't buy it again. We've actually had a handful of customers go and buy a brand new copy of our software, and we had to refund them the money.
Yeah.
And we'll do that. If you do buy a new one by accident, we'll refund your money and tell you no, you only need to pay the very minor update fee.
Unless you insist. If you just want to
so-
give us your money, that's
Yeah.
fine. We're a business. We want to survive, but
Right.
it's the right thing to
Right.
do. So
Right.
yeah.
And also, so Bennett, what I would do is I would suggest emailing, your questions into our support, and we'll give you links to everything you need there. Because one of the other questions was about getting back into the software and learning the software again. So we can send you the links to those training workshops that Jeremy showed you there, and those bullet points there. So we'll get you the links back into the training workshops there, and you can start learning again there.
Yeah, there's no shame in starting fresh.
Yeah, actually, while we're on that topic, Danny has a question about related to the maintenance. He's wondering how that all works.
Yeah, it's good. We kind of covered it. So you get 1 year of updates after your purchase. At the end of that year, what I love about the way we do it is you're evaluating us during that first year. You're saying, oh, these guys are releasing updates, new features. I want to support the project. So if you decide that you want another year of updates, it's $295. That's if you own both products. That covers both. But at the end of that first year, if everything's working great, if the version that's available at that time is working perfectly for you, and that's it, you don't need to pay us another dime. You can just keep using it. The only time in which you might feel, because we don't want to ever compel people to pay for updates, we want you to want it or need it. But down the road in the future, if NinjaTrader releases some major breaking update that breaks our stuff, there's a chance you'll feel compelled to get updates. But if you're sticking on the same Ninja version, especially, we're never going to force you.
Yeah, it sort of keeps the engine running on our side as well, right? So keeps us motivated to keep adding new features and whatnot. And those people that have been with us for like it's now almost 12 years, will have noticed the product has evolved tremendously since when we started it. And actually, we are currently in beta testing of an optimization feature, which is really exciting because that's you know how you guys just saw him or saw Zach kind of tweaking things manually and trying different values in and that sort of thing, and then running the back test. Well, imagine if you automated that part too. That's called optimization, right? So you can actually have the computer try tens of thousands of different combinations of different values for your indicator, periods or your ATR periods or whatever you choose, and you can have the computer just run through a gamut of tens of thousands of possibilities and then pick and to show you the best parameters to run. And again, that's called optimization. And so that's something that we've been working on for quite a few months now, and it's in beta, and we plan to release I'd say probably around the summerish. That's kind of where we're headed with that. So we've actually got a lot of very exciting features on the horizon for that. So that's just an example of updates that we're doing.
All right, next question here. So let's see. Somebody wants to find out where to find information on what indicators work there.
I would tend to recommend that if you haven't yet, I would go through the getting started videos, lay a foundation for understanding how to interact with the software and how it works. Because then you'll be ready to watch the video that shows you some troubleshooting steps. Just like, hey, here's how to test your indicator for compatibility. But if you want to go straight to it, or you just want general information about that, shoot us an email at support@sharkindicators.com. And if you want to say, hey, here's my indicators, we might already know about them. We don't have all indicators memorized, but Mike, for example, ARC, he just has dealt with so many issues with ARC that he knows off the top of his head. Otherwise, he'll just send you the video so you can do some testing.
Yeah, and in fact, the support team does have a tool, a really simple tool that they can use to test it out. So definitely reach out if you want to get that squared away.
Danny's asking if he buys these products, can he use it in 2 different NinjaTrader accounts? So you can install and activate it on 2 different computers for personal use. So if they're accounts for different people, the answer is no. But beyond that, any 2 computers that you're operating, that's well within the license. 2 is what we allow.
Yeah, and that can also include if you have a different NinjaTrader account, that's fine as long as you're using it.
As long as it's you. And we've had people install it on their travel laptop or even a VPS server. Things like that work fine too.
So Danny also asked, do I need BloodHound or can I just use Blackbird? So yeah, you can use them independently, absolutely. So again, BloodHound is an indicator, and its job is to mark up your chart and generate. You can create custom logic, usually used for like entry signals and that sort of thing. However, maybe you've got indicators already that you're happy with that have entry signals, and you want to pipe those into Blackbird. Assuming they spit out some data, just basically enough information for Blackbird to say, okay, that's a signal, like usually a 1 or a 0 or something like that, right? Or -1. Blackbird can absolutely take those indicators and then you can use it to program your trade strategy in terms of your order management. Today you just saw like one example where Zach just put on one OCO set, right? One bracket order set, or whatever we want to term it, right? Profit loss and profit target and stop loss, but you can have multiple. You can have as many as you want, in fact. And so we've seen all sorts of crazy contraptions from customers and whatnot. But yeah, so they work independently. I will say if you want to take your custom indicator that has generate signals and you want to do special filters on it, You know, so if you're like, okay, yeah, I like these signals, but I only want to trade when you know, like, you know, the MACD is, you know, doing this and that, whatever, and you want to filter out all the signals that don't have that criteria, then you would need Bloodhound to do that filtering on top of those custom indicators, right?
We get a lot of people who do that, who say, "Hey, I bought this signal indicator from this guy. It works great, except for when the market is too choppy, quote, according to my rules, or the volume is too low, or whatever." Those additional rules you can tack on top of your signal indicator so you can work well together. Um, Also, remember, we talk a lot about automation and backtesting because these are keys that a lot of people think are important, and they're a little flashy terms that really draw the attention. But you're not forced to do automation. If you say, "Hey, I want to do all discretionary entry. I want to click go long when I'm ready to enter the trade." But then I want Blackbird to manage the trade with all the trailing action rules, and can still work very well for a discretionary entry. So
Hey,
those are
Jeremy.
decisions you kind of have to make, and that's something as you and I can continue to communicate, we can
Hey,
help you figure out what can meet your goals.
Hey, Jeremy, why don't you show people where they can sign up to get a private meeting with Keith here and discuss details like that? So for
Yeah,
anybody like Danny or anybody else that wants to schedule a private meeting with Keith there, yep, just go to the free trial
yeah. Free trial on
link.
the top right up there.
You know,
Okay, and it basically it'll ask you. I've already signed up, so that's why I kind of
If you do
skipped
it
it.
in incognito,
Yeah.
so
Okay,
right
so
click and go
let me
incognito.
just try that in a incognito window real quick here. Okay, so yeah, so if I go to free trial,
There you
and
go.
basically you can just fill out your information and just click on I would like to schedule a private consultation. The next screen will present you with some options in terms of scheduling it and whatnot. And that's the best way to just kind of get your handheld through, and it's a little faster and a little easier than downloading the software and trying to get it running yourself, right? Sort of like a handheld demo that you can say, hey, I also got this question. I need to do this XYZ. Can it be done? So
And you can watch through the getting started videos before our meeting. Some people do that, and then they have some really well-informed questions for me, but happy to help figure out what's right for you. So,
yeah,
all
okay.
right, one
oh,
last
Jeremy,
question. Bennett is asking if we still provide the downloadable templates here from these sales webinars. And yes, we do. So Jeremy, if
if you
you
want to go to the workshops
go to
page,
support, no, go to support right in the middle. No, in the middle, template files,
There we go. Yeah, thank you.
template files. And there's a section called sales webinars. So I'll make sure, no, at the top right, right there. That section,
top right
the
of
very
those
top.
little quadrants,
Oh,
sales
geez,
webinar
Yeah,
I'm
there
sales
you
looking in
go.
the
webinars.
wrong spot. There we go.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll make sure to upload the Bloodhound and Blackbird templates that I built for today's webinar. But yeah, in general, I always put the template files in that sales webinar section there, because I know that we do have a bunch of excited, existing customers that love playing around with all these random ideas that I find on YouTube, right? So, so yeah, I upload them there and you can have fun with them. So,
Speaking of random ideas, if anyone's just looking to see what's possible, just generally to browse and kind of nerd out on how other people use these tools, Jeremy, go to the support menu at the top and then training workshops. And what I like to send people to is just scroll to the bottom of this page. And there's two boxes, one for Bloodhound, one for Blackbird. And whichever one you're looking to kind of explore, nearly all these questions, all these blue links, these go to videos, and they are taken from the weekly workshop. And almost all these topics come from real customer questions. So that is, especially as you're starting to focus on your own specific goals, you can submit your question and it can be crazy detailed if you need it to be, as long as it's clear. You say, "Hey, here's what I'm trying to do," and Zach will take all the time necessary to demonstrate how to do it for you. That's a big part of our resources for people because if you can do anything, we can't cover everything in our getting started videos, and so this is a great supplement to that. So
Yeah, and you can filter it. We were actually kind of working on more sophisticated ways to filter these out with more advanced like AI search tools and whatnot. That was a pet project for a while. But yeah, that's all there.
Yep. All right, looks like that does it for the questions. So thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Ladies and gentlemen. Yes.
Taking a looky-loo. Yeah, ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen.
Start the trial, and I look forward to working with you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right, everybody. Have a good weekend.